Welcome back to the channel Coin Dealer, and get ready to dive into one of the most jaw-dropping coin stories you'll ever hear, because today we're talking about the 1995 1-cent penny from the USA that, despite its humble face value of just a single cent, has been reported in some circles to be worth a mind-boggling $129 million due to its incredibly rare and fascinating errors. A truly extraordinary jump from pocket change to a fortune that could buy a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, and still leave you set for life. So buckle in as we explore exactly why this tiny copper-plated zinc coin, struck in 1995, has stirred so much excitement and curiosity among collectors and treasure hunters alike, beginning with the fact that coin errors are not all created equal, and some, like the one said to appear on this penny, are so unusual and rare that they send shockwaves through the numismatic community, where even seasoned experts can't help but marvel at the circumstances that led to their creation, because in the minting process, things like misaligned dies, double dies, off-center strikes, or incorrect planches can occur, but in this particular case the coin is rumored to have a combination of mistakes so unique it defies the usual rarity scale, with whispers about dramatic doubling in the obverse lettering, a misstruck mint mark that may have been punched by hand in the wrong place or even in the wrong style, and anomalies in the Lincoln portrait that are believed to be the result of a die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies collided without a planchette in between, leaving behind faint yet undeniable impressions from the opposite side of the coin, all of which create a distinctive look that no other penny from that year seems to match. And to make things even more fascinating, the mint mark error is said to involve not just a simple doubling but potentially an entirely misplaced or rotated mint mark, a detail that by itself could catapult a coin's value into the thousands. But when combined with other striking anomalies, it becomes the stuff of numismatic legend, and as collectors know, rarity plus demand equals skyrocketing prices, especially when there's a good backstory, which this coin has in abundance, because every minting error has a story, whether it's the result of human oversight, machine malfunction, or even a change in production standards. And in the mid-1990s, the US Mint was transitioning in certain production methods, which might have contributed to unusual die preparation issues, so it's plausible that the 1995 penny in question slipped through quality control due to a combination of factors perfectly aligned to produce a unique piece. And when such a coin is authenticated and confirmed as a one-of-a-kind or extremely low population error, its value isn't just based on the metal it contains but on its status as a historical artifact, a frozen moment in minting history that collectors want to own. And when competitive bidding enters the scene, especially at major auctions where wealthy enthusiasts gather, the price can jump into the stratosphere, which explains how a coin that people toss into jars without a thought can, under the right conditions, command a 6, 7, or even 8-figure sum, though of course in this case the $129 million figure sounds unbelievable to the average person. Yet when we consider examples of other famous coins, like the 1933 St. Gordon's Double Eagle or the 1794 flowing hair dollar, which have sold for millions, the idea of a unique and sensationally publicized penny fetching astronomical numbers isn't entirely impossible, especially in a market where rarity, provenance, and collector hype converge. And speaking of hype, coins with dramatic stories often inspire treasure hunts across the country, with people digging through their change, old jars, and dusty coin albums, hoping to strike gold, or in this case, copper, by finding a misprinted penny from the right year. And while the majority of 1995 pennies are worth only their face value, those bearing genuine dramatic errors can still be worth hundreds or thousands, making the search worthwhile. Though what sets this rumored $129 million example apart is the combination of error types so rare they might never have occurred together before or since, making it less like finding a needle in a haystack and more like finding a diamond in a field of pebbles. And for the numismatic community, the intrigue is irresistible, sparking debates over whether such an extreme valuation is market reality or the result of collector mythology amplified by the internet. Yet even if we take the highest figures with a grain of salt, the lesson remains clear: coins are more than metal discs, they're pieces of history, and sometimes history comes with a twist, a flaw, a mint mark in the wrong place, or a doubled inscription that transforms it into a treasure. And in the case of the 1995 penny, the fascination isn't just about the money, it's about the thrill of the hunt, the detective work of spotting subtle imperfections, the rush of possibility when you hold a coin and wonder if it might be that one extraordinary piece that turns a cent into a fortune. And perhaps that's the real magic here, that a tiny error in a government mint decades ago could still ripple through time and inspire hope, curiosity, and maybe even a little obsession among those who dream of finding their own once-in-a lifetime penny. We're talking about how an ordinary-looking 2015 D1 cent USA penny, with its tiny copper-plated zinc body and face value of just a single cent, could in an extraordinary twist be valued by some collectors and experts at an eye-watering $54 million, and it's all down to the world of minting errors, rare production mistakes, and the mysterious possibilities that can arise when the smallest details in coin manufacturing go awry. So let's take this journey together from the Denver Mint floor all the way to the auction block and see why something so small can become so staggeringly valuable, because on the surface the 2015 D penny is exactly what you expect, a Lincoln cent featuring the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner on the obverse with that "In God We Trust" motto above, liberty to the left, the date 2015 to the right, and that tiny D mint mark indicating it was struck in Denver. But what separates a common cent from a multimillion-dollar treasure is the presence of extreme anomalies and rare die variations, and when we say rare, we mean errors so scarce they might exist in only one or two specimens, the kind of mistakes that slip past even the most careful quality checks at the US Mint, such as double dies where design elements appear doubled under magnification, off-center strikes where the coin's design is shifted from its intended position, broad strikes that spread the coin's metal wider than normal, or even planchet errors where the blank metal disc was flawed before striking, and in the case of this mythical 2015 D penny, the story centers on a combination of a dramatic mint mark misplacement, possibly punched in the wrong position or even inverted, paired with an unprecedented die clash and double strike that resulted in multiple layers of overlapping detail, leaving Lincoln's profile ghosted with extra outlines, letters partially missing, and fields rippling with unusual metal flow lines. And to make things even stranger, some accounts suggest this coin might have been struck on the wrong planchet entirely, perhaps a leftover blank from a foreign coin run, giving it a slightly different weight or composition than normal, which is the kind of feature that sets off alarm bells of excitement in the numismatic world, because collectors know that when multiple rare error types combine in one single coin, the value can skyrocket beyond anything you'd expect from a simple 1-cent piece. And if you're wondering how we get from 1 cent to $54 million, it's not just about rarity, it's about provenance, desirability, and the feverish bidding wars that can erupt when wealthy collectors want to own the crown jewel of their niche, as sometimes these coins become more than just currency, they're historical artifacts, pieces of minting folklore, and in certain cases, the sheer mystery behind how such a flawed coin ever left the mint without being caught only fuels the legend, sparking theories about intentional test strikes, experimental runs, or even coins pocketed by mint workers decades ago only to resurface in a private collection. And with the 2015 D penny, part of the hype comes from whispers that it's a one-of-a-kind specimen confirmed by professional grading services as genuine and unaltered, placed in a high-grade holder that guarantees its authenticity and shields it from damage. And because top-grade error coins already command massive sums, adding the fact that this is from the modern Lincoln Shield reverse era makes it even more remarkable, since most multi-million-dollar coins are from the 19th or early 20th century, so when a modern cent carries this kind of price tag, it breaks all expectations, and in numismatic circles, breaking expectations is what drives headlines and record sales. And so the legend of this $54 million penny grows as people speculate on whether it was a freak accident of machinery alignment, a rare transitional error between die maintenance cycles, or perhaps even the result of an obscure mint process glitch that happened for only a fraction of a second, striking this one coin differently than billions of its siblings. And while some skeptics say such extreme valuations are fueled by hype more than hard economics, the reality is that in collectibles markets, value is often set not by logic but by what the most passionate buyer is willing to pay. And if two ultra-wealthy collectors decide they absolutely must have this coin for their private vaults, the bidding can leap from thousands to millions to tens of millions in minutes, and that's how a humble little copper-colored disc from 2015 can leap from pocket change to the stuff of treasure-hunting dreams, serving as a reminder that even in an age of digital payments and mass production, the magic of minting mistakes and the thrill of spotting something unique still captivate imaginations worldwide. And so whether you're sifting through your change jar, checking rolls from the bank, or scouring flea markets for overlooked gems, remember that somewhere in the vast sea of ordinary coins, the next unbelievable find might be waiting to turn 1 cent into a life-changing fortune just like the legendary 2015 D penny. today as we dive deep into one of the most fascinating and mind-blowing stories in the world of coin collecting, the kind of tale that makes you look twice at every penny in your pocket, because in 1990 a seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin from the United States turned out to be worth an astounding $77 million. Yes, you heard that right. A penny with a face value of just 1 cent somehow skyrocketed to such an unimaginable value, and the reason behind this jaw-dropping figure is rooted in the world of minting errors, rare mistakes, and a particularly intriguing mint mark anomaly that has captured the attention of numismatists, investors, and curious treasure hunters alike. So let's unravel how such a small copper-colored disc could command a price tag fit for a private island. First, we need to understand that coin collecting is as much about history, rarity, and condition as it is about the metal content. A normal 1990 penny is worth exactly 1 cent because billions were made for circulation, but sometimes, very rarely, a mistake happens during the minting process, and those mistakes can make a coin unique or nearly unique, and when a coin is unique in the entire world it becomes the crown jewel for collectors. In the case of the 1991 cent coin that sparked the legend, the story is that certain coins were struck without the intended mint mark. The small letter that shows which US mint facility produced it, normally, a 1990 penny struck in Philadelphia had no mint mark while those struck in Denver bore a D, but in the early 1990s an incredible error occurred involving proof coins, which are specially made with high detail and mirror-like finishes for collectors, and these proof coins were supposed to bear an est mint mark to show they were struck at the San Francisco Mint. However, a tiny batch escaped the presses without that mint mark entirely, making them instantly different from their millions of identical-looking siblings. At first glance these coins look normal to the untrained eye, and that's what makes them so mysterious. A person could have one sitting in a jar and never know it until an expert spotted the telltale absence of that tiny S. The rarity of these coins is amplified by the fact that proof coins are made in extremely limited quantities to begin with, and when only a handful have such a glaring error, they become so sought after that collectors are willing to pay astronomical prices to own one. The $77 million figure attached to one of these coins isn't just about the missing mint mark, it's about the combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand reaching fever pitch, and there are always rumors in numismatic circles that a coin with a legendary status like this may have provenance, meaning a known history of ownership that can drive up its value even further. Think of it as owning the Mona Lisa of pennies. Another layer of intrigue comes from the fact that mint errors are often categorized into different types, such as double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and wrong planchette errors. So while the 1990 no-S proof penny is the main star of the story, there are whispers that other related mistakes might have happened in the same period, making this a potential family of errors tied to one era in minting history. And collectors speculate endlessly about whether more undiscovered examples are out there. Every time one surfaces at an auction it sends ripples through the coin world, and its price can leap higher simply because of the media attention and the belief that it might be the last one to appear for decades. Some experts suggest that the 7-figure or even 8-figure valuations come from the intersection of rarity and cultural fascination, a kind of perfect storm where the humble penny becomes a legendary artifact. There's also the psychology of collecting where the scarcity of something magnifies its desirability far beyond logical limits, meaning the $77 million price isn't just a matter of metal and error but of prestige, bragging rights, and the once-in-a-lifetime chance to own something nobody else can match. This is why coin hunters still examine every jar of change, why estate sales sometimes make headlines, and why stories of valuable pennies keep going viral. Because the idea that a tiny coin in your hand could be worth more than a mansion is irresistible, and the 1991 cent penny with its missing mint mark stands as one of the most electrifying examples of that dream. It teaches us that the value of an object can be transformed by history, error, and human desire, and that sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest stories. So the next time you pick up a penny, look closely, because you never know if that little piece of copper could be the key to a multimillion-dollar treasure.